We speak.
Now, folks, if you want to call in and ask Matt any questions, you can Skype into live:\Sue Hirsch 01. I'm online here at Calexit Radio Mach 2.0 with Matt Owen, who is very well researched, an expert on what's going on around the world in terms of this movement toward better, just generally a movement towards better, towards being more inclusive as a governance, and in that way making ourselves financially more stable and comfortable as an entire people, because a government is built on its people and it's built on the people that it governs, and it should not be built on the necks and backs and blood and sweat of the people that it governs. It is meant to be working for us, and right now it's not. It's holding us back and it's oppressing us. And it could be doing so much better by making itself over in a more plurinational way, as Bolivia has, and as we have actually done here in California in the Palm Springs area, as Matt has explained to us during the beginning of this show. Matt, did I explain that all right?
Yes, you did. Yes, you did. A note I would like to make is that I'm taking and translating our proposal and presenting it in the first instance at the end of this week to a meeting of local activists for the now governing party of Mexico, Morena, as an example of how the Morenistas and the Zapatistas can resolve their problems, can actually implement together the Treaty of San Andres Lanzarote. We intend to implement the second Treaty of Fort Laramie here. Okay, we have treaties we need to respect. They do, we do. Okay, and this is just an example of that. We can offer our good offices as a, quote, disinterested party, unquote, to talk to both sides on that. So we can do that. But then, after then, at the end of the month, and also close to Indigenous Peoples Day, the U of Vietnam themselves are going to be hosting events also at Cal State San Bernardino, one of my alma maters. And the name Santos Manuel is all over that place. Let me tell you, they know who Santos Manuel is. They know that he rescued his people from genocide, the Bear Valley Massacre, where Big Bear Lake is now. Underneath that lake is the site of a horrible massacre. He entered into negotiations with the federal government and was able to secure the San Manuel Reservation. And, you know, it's a bunch of hills and mountain. But with the legalization of gambling on the reservations, their fortunes have totally flipped. And now they are huge contributors to San Bernardino's economy. You see the name San Manuel all over town. Okay, including most prominently at Cal State San Bernardino. Mm-hmm. So, you talk about the benefits of plurinational government. If you take the reservation and our city as a unit, our city's dirt poor. They used to be much poorer than we are. Okay, so they've risen up in our city because of our linkage to the U.S. and the stagnation of real wages in the U.S. since 1970s has fallen. Okay, instead of catching up with Riverside, Riverside is where we used to be, and we're in the pits, except for the contributions of the people who used to be in pits far deeper than we were. And now, thanks to the solidarity shown by Californians in voting up reservation gambling, not once but twice, we voted it up in Prop 5. Then when Prop 5 was found to be in conflict with the California Constitution, we amended that Constitution by direct initiative, something you can't do in the U.S. Mm-hmm. But we do it all the time in California. We're legislatures. Every time we get a ballot that has propositions on it, we are sitting as California's general counsel. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay, we've had that right for a century, and we're not about to lose it. When I met with the U of Vietnam a year ago, and I presented our independence movement to them, they asked a very valid question. He says, what's going to happen to our federal treaty rights? We're not going to lose those. Why should we support California independence when, there go our treaty rights? We don't have treaties with the state of California. We have treaties with a sovereign United States government. If California becomes a sovereign republic, what happens to our treaty rights? Well, the stuff that we've been writing and talking about is our reply to that. And I intend to deliver that reply when I meet with them at the end of this month with the U of Vietnam, as I delivered, drafts to AIM when AIM was helping occupy ICE. They are co-occupying ICE. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. This is an example of the sort of things that they do. These are indigenous people. AIM are indigenous people standing in solidarity with immigrants. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Okay. Many of whom have indigenous roots themselves and were torn from that and what's happening in their countries.
Right, right. Now, Matt, in these last 8 or 9 minutes here, I want to make the point that these indigenous peoples who are our brothers and sisters could be adding to our revenue source as a country of the United States. If we had let them, they could have been all along, and they could have been giving us the benefit of their experience in watershed and in proper sustainable farming and planting practice and servitorship of our landscape, and they could be adding to the revenue in terms of workload, just out in the workforce, and we have not given them the chance to do that, and we have done much the same thing, or tried to our immigrant population of other types of peoples as well. And it's really businesses that add the most to our revenue supplies here in the United States. And it's the Chinese people who have often owned the restaurants, and the Mexican people and the other Asian peoples have owned nail salons and dry cleaners and things of, little merchant shops of that nature, and that adds greatly to our revenue sources. And a lot of our immigrants own many Fortune 500 companies. They own about half our Fortune 500 companies all throughout the United States, and a lot of them have built up Silicon Valley and Yahoo and Google and created the algorithm and plastic and things that we rely on in our daily lives, like refrigerators and blue jeans and peanut butter and bicycles and the automatic transmission in TVs and ATMs and just all sorts of things that you don't even think about, that you use every day from moment to moment all day long. And so when we turn our backs and oppress them and turn our backs on the oppression that is happening to them, we are cutting off our own noses to spite our face. And I just wanted to kind of finish the show on that note and say that we can make this better, and it has worked. It's worked in Palm Springs, as Matt has just told us, everybody. If you were listening from the beginning of the show, it's working in Palm Springs and in the Palm Springs area, and we can make it work in the rest of California. And our federal government is not even willing, or in a place right now where they can be willing to give this the benefit of the doubt or research it at all. And they're not willing because they want to keep us oppressed, because that keeps their own pockets lined. It's in their best interest to keep us all down and keep us fighting each other. So don't do their dirty work for them. Look into this, do your own research, figure it out, ask people, talk to us here at CalConCon. California calls for a constitutional convention, because I do this show on a lot on their behalf. That's the main part of my reason. It's part of my raison d'etre, actually, to spread the word about California calls for a constitutional convention, and people like Matt Owen, who put heart and soul into making things better for the entirety of California. Matt, any last words?
Well, I thank you for all of them. Sue Hirsch Owen. Oh, oh, 01. That's 01. That little piece of binary happens to be my last name, Owen.
No, I'm taken. I'm married already.
Yeah. Well, I should start using 012, because that spells Owen. But no, I thank you for that ringing endorsement. I'll try to earn it. But
You
basically,
have
yeah,
already. You have
uh,
already.
we're all pressed under the same thumb, the same few individuals that
Mm-hmm.
now make no pretense of not running the store.
Right.
Uh, they have one of their own
Right.
there,
We have
and
to, in the words of John, let me think. John Pomeroy. We have to change the narrative. The narrative was his word, and it was a good one. Our current regime is trying to pull the wool over our eyes and make us believe that we're stuck with the narrative such as it has been since the writing of the U.S. Constitution, and we're not stuck with that at all. We can update it, we can change it, we can scrap it and go our own way and become a nation of California.
yes, and they're the folks that are proposing a constitutional convention under Article 5 of the U.S. Constitution are not our friends by and large. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
Quite the opposite. They have some very, very awful constitutional provisions in mind.
Yeah, folks,
Uh,
those are
so,
people like the Koch brothers. Don't go that way. Go with us. We're CalConCon. California calls for a constitutional convention. So make sure that when you go looking for us, go looking for us in Google under California calls for a constitutional convention or www.calconcon.com. Okay, Matt, I'm going to let you just say a quick goodbye.
a quick goodbye.
Wonderful. Thanks for being on with me again, Matt. We will talk to you later. And folks, title of this particular show is Plurinational California Dash. It's here, and you'll find it under Calexit Radio Mach 2.0 on my show in Spreaker. Thanks so much again for listening. I appreciate you listeners. Feel free to Skype in anytime, any show. I'm on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 10 in the morning with you. All right. Have a wonderful rest of your week and weekend. I'll talk to you next time, Tuesday morning, 10 a.m.